I think people should know how to be the best in the world at what they do. If you are going to be the best, then you've got to do one thing better than anybody else, and that's improve. With the indoctrination that's coming at us through our culture, mediocrity is promoted mostly, you know? Larry Moss taught me that if I ever get comfortable that I am dead in the water, the only way to improve is to struggle, to be the best safety in the world, to be the best chess grandmaster in the world, to be the best pole vaulter in the world, the best husband in the world, father. It doesn't matter the discipline, because I've done this 4 times. Here you come into the earth, and you're supposed to fit into these shoes called mediocrity? I don't think so.
So if you want to be the best at anything you do, my advice to anyone is find a coach who will get you there. And the next person I'm interviewing is my good friend, Bo Eason, who just came out with a brand new book, which is There's No Plan B for Your A Game. Now, Bo has put in an enormous amount of effort into this book, and today he's going to share with you his 4-step process for how this works and how it looks. What I love about Bo is he lives exactly what he preaches. He is absolutely congruent. So I hope you enjoy this interview as much as I like sharing it with you. All right, Bo Eason, nice to see you, my friend.
Mike, what's up, man?
Well, I am here talking to you, and you've got your brand new book coming out. Congratulations on that. Tell me about There's no plan B for your A game.
No plan B for your A game. That's what I saw my mom do. Me and my brother had dreams, and she said, you know what? You could have these dreams, and there was no option, man. There was just one option, and that was it. And that's where the title came from. I remember, you know what's funny about it, Mike? I remember when me and my brother were kids, right? We wanted to be these professional football players, but there was no players around us. We didn't know any. From our area in our region, there was just no pro athletes. So parents of our friends would come over to my mom and dad's house, and they would try to talk my mom and dad into me and Tony having plan Bs. They go, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You need a plan B for those boys, because their hearts are going to get broken. And I watched my mom like physically throw these people out of our house, never to be heard from again. And that's when I knew that, no option, less options, more success.
Very good. And one thing I will say about you, so we've known each other, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of better share of 7-8 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And I've watched you evolve in ways and reinvent yourself. So here's my story of Bo. Professional football player, got to the NFL, then became a playwright, Broadway performer, and then built this platform, speaking and training. And I've said this to you before, and I'll say it again. I think you are hands down the most amazing speaker I've ever seen. And every time I see you, you actually get better, which this is a world that easily stagnates, and people reach a certain level and they stop evolving. So I'm curious, through your lens, first of all, what's the big driver that keeps you thinking that way and moving that way? And I think that's the best place to begin, because first of all, you've done it over and over and over again without stagnating.
Yeah. I mean, look, a big part of the book is this declaration piece, which I'm sure we'll get into, but every one of my declarations, which I've only had 4 in my life, they all have one thing in common, and all 4 of them say, I want to be the best safety. I want to be the best playwright. I want to be the best speaker. So the best is always a part of that. And if you are going to be the best, then you've got to do one thing better than anybody else, and that's improve, right? So if you're going to think about that, if you're going to be the best at anything, and I don't care what it is, if you're going to be best at that thing, then you've got to improve day in and day out. And the only way to improve is to put yourself beyond your current capacity. So you've got to be actually outside of your own comfort zone. So even if you're great at speaking or great at playing football, it doesn't matter. You've got to get better if you're going to be the best. And that's just an ongoing process that I do and that I've gotten comfortable with. Like, I'm never kind of satisfied with where I am. I always think I can get better than that last performance. I can get better than that last game. I can get better than that last speech. And so I rehearse and improve, but that's got to be done outside my comfort zone. It's got to be done outside my own comfort zone. So I'm never quite comfortable, you know? And that, I think that being, fighting for something and fighting for that improvement, I think that's where my drive comes from, because he never quite satisfied. I think Martha Graham said it best, where she said she was writing a letter to a dancer who wanted to quit. And she said, you'll never be satisfied. You'll only have this queer, divine dissatisfaction, this blessed unrest that keeps you going and makes you more alive than the rest. I've always kind of thought about that going through, these improvement stages in any capacity that I've had.
All right. So that's actually super interesting to me. And I'm curious. So this dissatisfaction, tell me a story about that. When, and I'm going to give you a couple options. One would be, think of a recent either speech or performance you had, and tell me a story about the dissatisfaction, the unease you had, and how you noted that and what you did. Or tell me a story about the book, because this is your first book. And writing a book is not easy. And I suspect that you put everything you had inside here and you actually wrote it. So pick one or the other, or tell me both stories. I want to hear a story about your dissatisfaction and unease.
Yeah. Well, that happened the whole 3 years of writing this book and bringing this book into existence. For sure, dissatisfied, almost every word, going back, editing, changing, rewrites. But I was trained, Mike, I think we've talked about this before, by a guy named Larry Moss, as far as stage performance, as far as acting, the one-man show that he directed of mine called Run to the Litter. So every time this is how he trained me. Every time I got comfortable on stage, so I'd rehearse, I'd perform, and, I performed that play 1,300 times over a 15-year period. So the reason people would always come to me and they go, well, Bo, how do you do the same words over and over again? And I say, I can do it because it's never the same. Because Larry Moss taught me that if I ever get comfortable, that I am dead in the water. He said, if you ever become comfortable on stage, you must push yourself to another level, meaning go deeper with the words, try to be better with the delivery, try to connect on a deeper level with the audience. And the more you keep that in mind, the more you're always at risk on stage, which is the only thing that audiences are interested in. Now, I was taught that from a performance standpoint, but that's how it is also in the NFL. Every game you play, there's somebody faster, there's somebody younger, there's somebody bigger coming up behind you, trying to take your job or trying to defeat you in a game. So you're never comfortable out there. It's not like you're going, man, I'm really confident. Look at me. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like that guy's going to take my job. I better raise my level and beat him. And that's what I've taken into performance and into writing. The I think the best point that people should take from this is what Larry Moss told me. He goes, Bo, if you're ever comfortable on stage, you become unwatchable. And then, Al Pacino was a great mentor of mine when I first began. And he has this one famous saying, and he says, I wish that the stage was a tightrope so that only the brave would enter. And that's really what it takes, is more courage to go deeper, more courage to connect with people. And I think that's that blessed unrest, that kind of queer divine dissatisfaction. I bet that's how people, I've never climbed the, mountains like Mount Everest or the free solo kind of guys, but I bet you they must feel that divine dissatisfaction all the time, because they're always being beat and they're always being, how do I get up that mountain? How do I get up this thing? And you're never quite there. And so with that, you have to improve. And if you're going to improve day in and day out and put yourself in that kind of situation, you're going to reach the top, because our population just is not, they just don't like struggle. Us human beings, we don't like challenging our homeostasis.
That makes sense. It totally makes sense. So tell me a story about the book. Why the book? Why now? And what was the biggest struggle you had in putting it together and writing it?
Yeah, I mean, the book, I've been offered book deals before, Mike. Since I wrote the play and was in New York, a lot of publishers would come to the play, and I got offered some book deals. I never said yes. And I never said yes only because I didn't know what it was. And I wasn't about to commit 3-4 years of my life to something that I wasn't sure about, just to try to sell some books. And JJ Virgin, who, we're both great friends with, was sitting in one of my masterminds, and she goes, you should write a book. And then the next day, her agent called me, Celeste Fine.
Yep.
She called and she said, I want you to write a book, but I don't necessarily want it to be about story, which is a lot of the things I talk about. She goes, I think people should know how to be the best in the world at what they do. And I said, because I didn't think, Mike, I've been obsessed with that my whole life, but I didn't think other people really cared. I didn't think that kept people up at night. I didn't really know, but Celeste said, no, I think gutturally or instinctively people know that's why they're put on this earth. But with the indoctrination that's coming at us through our culture, mediocrity is promoted mostly, and to be the best or to be world class is really kind of frowned upon or looked at like you're some kind of, egotistical monster. And the minute she said that, and I think people would like to know the principles of what that takes, I said, I'll spend as many years as I can trying to get that right so people understand exactly, why they're put here and how to bring that best into existence.
Right. That's good. That's good. And I can hear JJ saying that. I can definitely hear Celeste. We share her in common. She's my agent too. So why don't you talk a little bit about your 4-step process? That seems to be a good place to go from here. And then I want to dive a little bit more into, into that process. That's great. Go for it.
Yeah. And it's really, it's so funny because this process is really simple, because it is really simple to be the best. It really is. And a lot of people might say to me, they go, Bo, even my kids say this, Dad, it's hard to be the best. And I'm like, yeah, if you think it's hard to be the best, you should try being mediocre. That's really hard because we're just not set up that way. It's not in our DNA. So you really have to fly in the face of Mother Nature to be mediocre. So I always say, no, it's much easier to be the best. And here, the first thing that you have to know, the first thing that we're going to do in the book, and it's early in the book, is declaration. So it goes declaration, preparation, acceleration, domination. Declaration, I want you to think of instead of goals, right? So declaration is no different than the Declaration of Independence. When I was 9 years old, I drew up a declaration. And it looks, you've seen it, Mike, it's 50-year-old piece of paper. And it looks like the Declaration of Independence. And all there is on this little declaration for me at 9 was I wanted to be the best safety in the world. And it had a little picture of me being the best safety in the world. And so I followed that declaration for 20 years until it came into existence. But listen, some people call that goal setting. Here's why I like declarations. Because when you think of the Declaration of Independence, I think of, okay, there were our founding fathers 250 years ago drew up a declaration that you and me and every American in between us and 250 years ago, and every American that comes beyond these 250 years, brings that declaration into existence by the way we live our lives. Every minute of every day, you and me talk freely, walk freely, and express our freedom in this country, bringing that declaration into existence all day, every day for 250 years. That's how I want you to think of your declaration. To be the best safety in the world, to be the best chess grandmaster in the world, to be the best pole vaulter in the world, the best husband in the world, father. It doesn't matter the discipline, because I've done this 4 times. I've made 4 declarations in my lifetime, and all of them happen. And they happen because I follow the same exact principles that it took to be the best safety. They're the same exact principles that it takes to be the best playwright. Even though those are completely unrelated, you gotta make the declaration. That's the number one step. And the problem is, Mike, as you know, nobody wants to declare anything, because once you do that, now there's a big target on your back and you're going to be held to account of what you want to be the best in the world at. And you go public with that. And, it's not popular, but I believe it's why we're here. I believe these dreams that we have inside of us are given to us, and it's our job to express them. And it's our birthright to bring them into existence, like the Declaration of Independence. That's why I do it. And that's the first piece of the puzzle. And once we get that declaration on paper, here's what happens. It's not like a goal where you got a big to-do list that you're going to be marking off things you got to do to be the best safety. You're the best safety on day one. Now, these declarations take years to come into existence, but you're actually being the best playwright on day one, because it's a sense of being. So, for example, my son wants to do something that no one's ever done, right? So he wants to be the first guy to play in the NBA and the NFL. So no one's ever done that. And he might as well have come to me and my wife, Dawn, and said, hey, Mom, Dad, I want to be the first man to walk on Pluto. And then me and Dawn, because our house and our environment is all about dreams, he said that at 6. He drew up the plan at 6, the declaration. So we said, okay, that sounds good, Axel. No one's ever done it, but let's be the first. And so now he's 12, and he's got 6 years under his belt of being the equivalent of the best athlete on the planet. So what does the best athlete on the planet have to be? What does he put in his mouth? What does he not put in his mouth? Who does he surround himself with? What is his environment like? How many hours does he sleep? What does he eat? Who coaches him? Who doesn't coach him? Every decision the declaration makes for him for 6 years. Now he's going to be following this plan still for the next 11 years, about 11, until that happens. And when that happens, you guys, and they say it on ESPN and you and me are going to be watching it, what are they going to say about him on that day? They're going to go like this. Oh, today we have the first NBA player and first NFL player. It's the same person. He's so lucky. He's so gifted. He has good genes. And they're going to devalue the dream and the work and all the loss that he has faced throughout these last 20 years, right? All the proms that he had to skip, all the vacations that he couldn't go on, those they will just devalue. All the 5 a.m. trainings will be devalued. And you can rest assured that's going to happen to you too. But we've got to make the declaration, right? That's how this whole thing begins.
Got it.
So that's the declaration piece.
Right on.
Mike, you got any questions about that? Because I can move on or...
Well, I can hear a naysayer saying something like, well, is that really his dream, or is it his father's dream, or who affected this? You know, where did that come from? What instilled that belief and that desire and that need? And is he a well-balanced? You know, it's like that whole question. And again, I'm just playing back my media channel in my mind right now.
Yes.
And that doesn't necessarily have to do with the 4 steps, but as a parent, you know, and I've got a strong-willed, strong-charactered kid who wants things his way. And sports, he's in sports, but he's not driven the same way Axel is. And I've watched Axel. You know, he's definitely seems to be a man of his own character and his own desires. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm sure I had something to do with it because of the choice that he made, right? I'm sure, Mike, he saw Run to the Litter, which he did, and saw that his dad made a plan many, many years ago and was influenced by that. No different than Zach is influenced by everything you've created and the marriage that you've built, right? We're all like that. But we can't avoid that. That's going to be, you know, you're going to want to be like if you're a son, you're going to want to be like the most important, man in your life, which is your dad. You're going to want to be like him in some ways. Now, I'm not going to argue with that and like, go, no, you can't do that or you can do that. He's the one who came up with the dream and made the 20-year plan, and it's sitting on his bulletin board, right? And my job and our job as parents is to make sure and fulfilled so that he has an opportunity to fulfill on his dreams.
Right.
That's, I think, probably the greatest thing I was given to by my parents. I'm not saying my parents were like saints, and I'm not saying they were perfect, but I am saying they fought for our dreams. They fought for them. They took them seriously, and they fought so that we could get there. And I think that's our responsibility. And that's what I'm doing for my kids and my clients and the people around me. So I get the naysayers, but come on, man. Why else are we here?
Right.
If this ever came out of a kid's mouth, then I'll change my book and my training. In fact, I'll throw the book in the fire bin. If this sentence ever happened, if a 7-year-old ever went to their mom and dad and said this sentence, Mom, Dad, here's my dream of my life. You ready, Mom and Dad? I want to be a silver medalist in the Olympics. That sentence has never been said, ever. Why? Why has it never been said? Because that's how we're made. We're not made for silver medals. We're made for gold. Now, I'm not saying winning a silver medal is a bad thing. It's a good thing, right? But you don't win silver medals. You lose the gold and they hand you a silver, which is pretty good, right? But it's not what you wanted. It is not why you joined the Olympics. But you won a silver, which is great. It's not how we're made. We're made to be number one. This book is just about flying with Mother Nature instead of flying in the face of her.
Yep. Beautiful. All right. So let's drive this to step 2, preparation.
Preparation. No one wants to prepare, right? Preparation is really, Mike, more than a mindset, but it's actually how you see things. I think it's more important people talk about mindset a lot. I think it's more important to see things how they accurately are, right? So let's just think back to who we actually are, right? So this is going all back to, our mother nature. So as far as I'm concerned, she's undefeated, right? Like, so no one's ever beat her. No one's ever going to beat her. She's undefeated. So as a competitor, guys like you and me, Mike, we're on her side, because if you go against her, you're going to lose. So if you and me decided to build a beautiful fortress right on the beach in Malibu, and we got the best architect and the best engineers, and we built this fortress, who's taking that fortress anytime she wants it? That's how I always am on her side. Now, listen, most people think that they're mediocre or are being told they're mediocre, which Mother Nature has nothing to do with that. So when people push back against me, Mike, I just say this. I go, oh, so do you remember the day of your conception? And they often say, no, I don't remember that day. And I go, okay, let me give you a little refresher course of what happened on that day. So on that day, 300 million sperm were delivered on the day of your conception. The same day, happened on my day of conception. So 300 million sperm are delivered. You're one of them. Okay? With 1 million years of design and evolution taught those sperm to do one thing. What was that one thing?
Swim faster than the others.
Fertilize that egg, baby, and that is a swim to the death. Am I right? It's a swim to the death. You ain't getting any silver medals for that, right? And think of how competitive you must be. Think how strong you must be. With 1 million years of evolution behind you, you won the race. 300 million to 1 odds that you win that race. And you won. And now here you come into the earth, and you're supposed to fit into these shoes called mediocrity? I don't think so. We're not made that way. So nobody wants a silver medal. No, we just surrender to the fact that it's too hard, and so we take the silver medal. Preparation is about reminding you of actually who you are. The rest of our media, Hollywood, most of the publishing world, most of the guru world or self-help world is talking to you. They're talking to what you are not. I'm talking to what you are. And for some of you, this might be the first time that you're being talked to how you actually are, which you actually are the best, way before I met you. Yet you're trying to prove to the world that you're not. And that's flying in the face of Mother Nature, and that will kill you. And that is no way to go. That's the preparation piece, Mike. So everybody is remembering or reminded of who they actually are, so they can see accurately of who they are. That's the preparation piece.
Love it.
I'll stop there. You got anything on that?
No,
Otherwise,
I'll
go on to the next.
I think it's so interesting how the lens that you look through is about always attaining your highest potential, and that is the focus. And a huge part of what I'm interested in is not just what you say, but how you think. And that really is abundantly clear. And I think the preparation, speaking for myself anyway, so I am definitely a categorically ADHD kind of guy. I'm a performer. So my mechanism for preparation is to just do and make and get in there. And for those of us who aren't preparation minded, that just, to me, it's a tremendous amount of foresight, discipline, and a real a matter of anchoring into the declaration and being able to visualize the outcome over and over and over again. I don't know if you've got anything else to say about that.
No, you're 100% right. You just have to be clear on who you are. If you remember that the odds of you being here, I think back of those little tiny sperm, and how there's no silver medals in that race, and the odds are so against you. And I think of the determination and the evolution and the desire to be number one, to get to that egg. We still carry that DNA with us right now. Yet we just apologize for it or pretend that never happened. And I think that's the wrong eyeballs to be looking out of, right? So that's the preparation piece. Now, Mike, the third step is acceleration. And this is how you go past everybody else. And it's really simple. Science, it's not just Bo saying this. This is science backing me up. It's telling us that these impossible dreams that we have, these declarations that we have, are completely in our reach in our lifetime. And here's how it has to be done. So if you want to be the best at a thing, right, you have to leave your comfort zone, right? You can't, say you want to be the best NBA player. Do you think you can dribble a ball for 10,000 hours like this, just in your comfort zone, kind of dribbling your ball, kind of comfortable, kind of within your capacity, don't break a sweat, for 1,000,000 hours? Will you be the best NBA player? No. Why? Because you did not leave, you did not struggle, you did not leave your comfort zone, you did not leave your current capacity, you did not challenge your homeostasis, so the hours don't count. This is the acceleration piece. You must work beyond your current capacity at all times, because the only way to get to be the best, remember, is to improve. The only way to improve is to struggle against your current roadblocks, right? So when you're uncomfortable, when you're struggling, which is a biological necessity to being the best, when you're struggling, you know you're on the right path. So most of us hate struggle. My kids are so funny. They hate struggle. And I said, no, you're doing the only thing that will put you at the top, which is struggle, which is battling your own capacity to see where you can go next. Because the one thing, Mike, this is the greatest news. The one thing that human beings are the best at. We're better than the dinosaurs. We're better than cheetahs, lions, great white sharks. We're the best at one thing, and that is adaptation. We're the best at adapting to challenging circumstances. The problem is we don't put ourselves in challenging circumstances. We just don't, not enough. We stay in the comfort of our success, of like, wow, I reached a certain level. I'm just going to hang here and be comfortable for a while. You can't do that. You got to leave if you want to go to second base, you got to take your foot off first. And it's uncomfortable when you don't have your foot on the base, right? We are the greatest species ever created when it comes to adaptation. Remember that, adaptation. So it's never the strongest species that carry on. It's never the biggest or the fiercest. It is the ones who adapt the quickest to extreme conditions, which we do. We're the best at that. So you have to invent those demanding situations for yourself. Because in our world, Mike, right, like you and me rode our bikes. We didn't have helmets on, right? We just rode. We had our best buddy on the back. You had your girlfriend on the handlebars, no helmets, going 25 miles an hour down a hill. And if you wiped out, you had to adapt and survive, right? We've made our circumstances so safe today that there's almost no demanding circumstances for us to put our nose up against. So you and me have to be creative. We have to declare we want to be the best at a thing. And then we put ourselves outside the comfort zone and rehearse and practice and train outside of our current capacity until our bodies and our brains adapt to the new situation. And eventually we're standing on top. Now, that might be some bad news for some of us, right? For some of you who hate struggle, or who hate looking bad, or who hate having skin knees and a bloody nose, that's the bad news. But here's the good news. If you're cool, and I think cool is the right word, if you're cool with struggle, with being outside your comfort zone, you're going to end up being the best in the world at your chosen field. You just are, because no one else ventures in there. So that's the acceleration piece. That's why it's not even competitive once you get this kind of mindset, once you put yourself in this constant challenge of homeostasis.
Right. Well, that and also having the expectation that the struggle is going to be present and it's actually your friend, and changing your psychology. That makes a ton of sense. Really good. Really good.
Yeah. And you know what too, Mike? It's the only thing that you and me, us human beings, everybody watching us today or listening today, we're only attracted, and you should think back who you were attracted to, who you married, who you dated, who are you attracted to now? The only thing us human beings are attracted to is courage, is somebody who has left the comfort zone, which is why if you think of every classic movie that you and I can name right now, whether it be Rocky or Gladiator or The Wizard of Oz, it's because those characters left their current conditions and put themselves in a demanding situations with all kinds of obstacles. So you and me are attracted to them. Nobody ever married anybody else because they were smart. That never happened. No one ever married anyone else because they were clever. That never happened. They married somebody because they showed courage. They did something beyond their capacity. That's all that people are attracted to. That's all anything's attracted to. That's why it's a great place to put yourself.
Great. Very cool. So talk a little bit about domination then, the fourth step.
Yeah. Domination is the last step. And it's really, it's, a lot of people go, well, Bo, I don't like to dominate. I don't want to dominate people. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about dominating your own position, dominating your own space, dominating your position in life, the position that you play, right? Because here's the problem. You and I have these dreams and we make these declarations to fulfill on these many years into the future. The problem is you're so exhausted that you can't reach the finish line because you're doing too many things that you should not be doing. This is the domination piece. Think of, and I'm sure you've heard of this, Mike, you've heard the saying maybe, Frank Sinatra doesn't move pianos. Right? Have you heard that saying before? Mm-hmm. I think somebody even wrote that book.
Right.
Frank Sinatra doesn't move pianos. Does Frank Sinatra, who is one of the greatest vocalists ever, right? Did he sell the tickets to his own show? No. Did Frank Sinatra sweep the stage before he took the stage? No. Did he move the piano on the stage? No. Did he usher people into the theater and seat them? No. Did he print out the programs? No. What did he do? He walked on the stage, played the piano, and sang. He did what he did because he mastered himself. He mastered what he does. He dominated the space that he was in. That's what I want you to do. You're going to start getting rid of stuff. Most people, Mike, think that being the best is about like adding a bunch of stuff. And I say, no, it's actually the opposite is true. To be the best, you got to get rid of stuff. You got to get lean. You got to do what you do, and then you don't do anything else. Kind of like a thoroughbred racehorse, right? What do? What do thoroughbreds do? They do one thing, they run, and they run fast, right? They don't think about what they're going to plan for dinner. They don't think about going to parties. They're not shopping at the grocery market for what they're going to eat. They're not taking out the garbage. They run fast. If you commit to being the best, this team, what I have found, I've done it 4 times, this team surrounds you, and they come out of nowhere, unexpected. They surround you and they try to fulfill your dreams because their dream gets fulfilled in fulfilling your dream. So this is why you must dominate and master your own space and your own position. That's the domination piece. No different than Frank Sinatra doesn't move pianos, no different than a thoroughbred racehorse. Think of yourself, see yourself like that. And this road to the best not only becomes easier because you got this whole team fighting for it, they get to go to the top with you, which is really cool. You know, the people who believe in you, the people that love you and believe in your dreams, they get to go to the top with you. There is no better feeling than taking people to the best through your dream. There's nothing better than doing that. So when people say to you, oh, you're being selfish, oh, you're being conceited by trying to be the best and declaring you want to be the best, actually, the opposite is true. It is the most generous act there is because you're fulfilling on why you're here and you're taking others with you.
Love that. Philosophically, it's really, really good. And so why don't you talk a little bit about the book itself, because it's available right now. It's already selling really well. So where do people go to get a copy, and what do you have in store for them?
Yeah, wherever you buy your books, whether that's Barnes & Noble or you go on Amazon, Books A Million. Where else can you go, sweetheart? I'm looking at Dawn. You can go to boeason.com.
That's where we should send people.
Yeah, you can send people there. Yeah, Dawn's like yelling at me, Mike. She's like, boeason.com, they can go. Okay, good. There's a lot. Oh, cool. Dawn's saying there's a lot of bonuses on boeason.com. So I'm training you. I'm taking you through step by step. At the end of each chapter, Mike, there's actually action steps, right? So you're going to be able to fulfill on your declaration. You're going to be able to go through your preparation the same way I do, and the same way I take my kids and my clients through, and the same as for acceleration and domination and how you're going to build your team. So there's a lot of exercises that we go through, and I'll hold your hand and we'll go through it together, because there is, to me, Mike, this is the conversation that I want to have. And this is really lately, it's the only thing I care about, is like people's greatness and how to fulfill on it. Because with the rest of the world coming at you, promoting mediocrity and talking to a being that you're not, I just don't believe in that. I just think that's just not right. So that's why, the book now, that's why it's important, because people have to see their way clear and just have a permission slip like I had. I mean, I was lucky, right? My dad woke me up every morning, and my brother every morning, by telling us we were the best. And he'd say a couple cuss words after he said that, right? Because that's how men talk back then. I mean, we still talk that way, but anyway, he woke us up every morning and told us we were the best. And we'd go to Little League and he'd tell us we're the best. And then we'd go on a date and he would tell us we're the best on our dates. And we're like, Dad, you're embarrassing us. That's embarrassing to us. And he said, no, you don't understand. You're the best. And he kept saying it until we surrendered to the fact that that's exactly what we were. And when that happened, my brother became a Super Bowl quarterback and I became a top safety in the NFL. And then it went on from there, right? But that message being massaged into our backs every morning for many, many years is what I want to give to people. I just want to give them the permission to know it's cool. In fact, it's more than cool to be the best. It's lonely, right? But it's really cool because you get to bring those others with you.
Love it, Bo. Well, I'm super proud of you. This is a big step and you deserve it. And you and Dawn and your kids deserve what you've done here. And as I said in the very beginning, you're the best speaker I've ever seen, I've ever known. And it's because you work so hard at it. And I can't wait to see where the book goes. So here's what I'll say for everyone watching right now, which is head on over to boeason.com, spelled the same way it's spelled the same way it sounds, BOEASON.com, and get his book, get his bonuses. And Bo, is there anything else you want to leave our friends here with today?
I mean, look, the compliment you just paid me about being a speaker, the only reason that occurs to you like that is because I did what Al Pacino told me to do, which is you've got to spend your life on a stage more hours than anyone else, pushing the boundaries more than anyone else. Well, it's the same thing I try to bring to life in this book. And the audio of this book, I actually do. And that's how it's performed, like with everything I got, right? So if you prefer audiobooks, it's available, and I did the audio. So that's the kind of impact that this book and the audio is going to have for you. So I hope you pick it up, and then maybe we can start to dig in and build a groundswell of people who fulfill on their birthright to be the best.
Right. Well, Bo, I want to thank you. This is awesome. Great interview. And I can't wait to see you and Dawn very, very soon as well. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Thanks so much. And thanks, Axel always, whenever he knows I'm going to be seeing you or talking to you, he goes, "Thank Mike for my shoes. I get my golden shoes." He loves them.
That's right. That's right. That's his super being shoes. So good deal. Awesome. Well, thank you. And definitely say hi to Axel for me.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
You got it.